Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, hey guys. Well, today about 3 to 4 inches of snow, and uh, yeah. So today we ended up getting 3 to 4 inches of snow, and it's pretty well melted away at this point. And the tire lights ended up coming in, and yep, yeah, the 8530 is going to be awesome. Yeah. Um, yeah, Braxton, I did end up getting your email. Um, but yeah, so that I've been working on that a little bit tonight, and got the hood lights at least put in. It was a little bit of a learning curve trying to figure out how to wire those because there's a plug that plugs into a box that there's a wire for the halogens that comes off of that, and you got to figure out how. Well, it's not really figuring out, it's just understanding that you don't have to use the halogen cord anymore, but it's still, I'm going to keep it in there just because dust purposes and stuff like that, to keep the dust out of the pool. So anyways, yeah, that turned out pretty good. I still got to put all the lights on the cab and everything and put the clearance lights on, but it turned out really good so far. And yeah, I believe in order to go live, what Brandon told me last night, a neighbor of ours that hopped on last night that has a YouTube channel also, he told me 1,000. The only thing on Farm Sim 19, I do have, what's it even called? OBS, I think it is. Um, you need to have a really, really decent internet connection, which uh, here out in Hannah is so so, and it's not the greatest, but it's fast enough to do live streams. So there you go. But having a dual screen setup, you got to have um, a little bit faster internet. Now I can pull off of my hotspot, but it's not the uh, it eat up a lot of data for that, and half the time I'm using it to upload videos anyways. So hey Charles, how's it going? Yeah, the audio was a little bit of an issue last night. It was just remembering how to move the audio uh, over to my mic and pull it off. Instead, I accidentally had it actually hooked up to the webcam and the wireless headphones, which it's just a matter of taking the time and going into settings and switching that, which I didn't realize here on the stream I had it programmed for the webcam instead of the mic. So yeah, our 455, the deck on that 455 lawnmower that we use on the vac and just mowing roads around the farm here and stuff, the deck's pretty well shot on that, and I think we've welded on that twice, I think. Hey, that's cool. You guys started planning today, Justin. That's cool. I wouldn't be surprised starting probably not Sunday, but Monday, there's going to be a whole bunch of guys at the fields again because it's actually supposed to be cold tomorrow. Actually, it's supposed to be colder tonight than what it was last night, supposedly. Um, no, sorry, they changed the forecast. 55 for tomorrow, 53 Sunday, 57 Monday, 48 on Tuesday. That's new. Um, and rain towards the end of the week. 40, 40, 40, 40, and 40% chances for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I don't know. We'll see. I was kind of hoping to start on Thursday planning, but I don't know. So, well, what are we going to end up discussing tonight? Because I know we uh, kind of did a whole bunch of discussion last night, which turned out really good. So, yep, I did see that. Bob, I did see he's selling his green cart, so that's pretty cool. Probably on what? Some sand? Because it's pretty moist up in our area. I mean, I know you are literally just a stone's throw away from us, Braxton, but it's pretty wet up in our area just from the snow. I mean, I personally I wouldn't want to be out in the fields for the next couple of days with um, anything up in our area, at least. I mean, we don't do any tillage or anything as far as like field cultivating or anything like that before the planter or anything. We just run the VT if we need to, just to size the residue. But uh, it's still fairly wet to actually even get out and do any spraying, anyways. So we want to get quite a few acres of burn down sprayed on both the corn and beans just to kind of get ahead of that. And yeah, before we do any planting. So how many acres of no-till do we do? 100% no-till, but you can arguably say that we are not no-till with vertical till, which that's I'm not going to argue with you at that point, but you can also argue that since we do tomatoes, which we ourselves don't do the tomatoes, but we rent the ground out for tomatoes, so by working the ground there and that transition just to level the field. We are not trying to just work the field just because it's because the fields are ridged from when they do the tomatoes. So it's just a matter of uh, leveling the field up from those ridges. So you can argue there that we're not no-till, but otherwise, we're not disturbing the soil. We're trying to do a minimalistic job of disturbing the soil what we can. So, and that's why we run the vertical till and only the size of residue. We're not trying to disturb the soil. So, with the vertical till. So, if we end up disturbing the soil, it's as minimal as what we can. So, how long has your family been using John Deere equipment? Since day one. We almost had a international on the farm. I can't remember exactly what model it would have been. Um, Actually, it was on the farm. We were running it. Only because it was not necessarily a deal, but, well, I don't know really what the situation there was. It was back in the 70s. We were waiting on a 4630, well, the 4630 that we have now, or still have now, to come in. And Grandpa was needing a tractor at the moment, and the 4630 wasn't in. And he ended up, I think, if I remember correctly, the local case dealer, international dealer at the time, brought out a tractor for him to run. And at that point, if the 4630 didn't come in time, he was going to end up buying that just because he needed the tractor at that point because of how much ground they picked up at that point. But yeah, so that the 4630 did come in on time, obviously, and that's how you can tell that we still have it. And plus, we're still running green equipment, and he would have preferred anyways that we would have had the 4630 anyways. So yeah, there was quite a few guys that started not at the beginning of this week, but beginning of last week, and actually one guy, a neighbor of ours, started planting Tuesday, I believe, on corn, and he said the neighbor told us that he told them that ground temp was supposedly 40 degrees, and I was half tempted to take a picture of the ground temp today and post it on Facebook and say, "Is this fit conditions to plant corn in?" No, this isn't going to be like an every night thing. I joked before that I was going to do this every night, but no, this isn't going to be an every night thing. This will, I don't know, we'll get on a schedule and try and stick to it the best I can and go from there. Yeah, I heard a lot of people are starting to move to that vertical, or that, not vertical till, but well, they are. A lot of guys are moving to vertical till, but the VR till, so like the prescription tillage. So being able to write prescriptions for tillage and adjust your depth automatically throughout the field, which is actually pretty cool. It's kind of similar to the, well, it is pretty much like True Set, but basically it's a prescription for True Set on Deere's version. Um, but I imagine, there's other companies out there that have the option to do prescription tillage, which is pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind um, trying it out. Necessarily, we don't really need to adjust on the go. It's more the only thing I could really think of off the top of my head that we would adjust on the go for, or is moving in and out of the dry corners and the pivots. But that's just so minimalistic. It's not even really worth the cost of what prescription tillage would cost. So it's just easier to just run the vertical till at 1.5 to 2 inch depth and run a 3 to 2.5 gang angle. And besides, a lot of that can all be adjusted from the cab. Well, the gang angle can be adjusted from the cab hydraulically, but the depth itself cannot be. We don't have a new enough vertical till. I think it's a 2013 Great Plains 3000 Turbo Max. So I believe it's a 2013, might be a 2012. So yeah, I'm gonna leave all these live streams up, Ben. I'm not gonna take any of these down. All of these are gonna stay up that way. Can account for more views on the channel and yeah, more watch time towards the channel too. Scroll back up to see if I missed any of you guys' comments. What and how do you guys apply your nitrogen? So we apply X amount of pounds per uh, acre with the starter on the planter, and there's a little bit in the in furrow, and then we used to apply anywhere between 130 to 200 pounds, if not a little bit over 200 range, just depending on soil condition or soil type, the ground, if it's irrigated, non-irrigated, um, all that good stuff. So for anhydrous, and now this year we will not be running anhydrous, and we are going to move to running 28 instead of anhydrous, and we're going to run Y drops instead of coulters on the 28 rig. So that's going to be a completely new setup, not only from just moving from anhydrous to 28, but also not running even coulters at all and applying the nitrogen on top of the ground. I know some of you guys might disagree with us by putting nitrogen on top of the ground, but yes, we are going to be running stabilizers, but even there, you still might disagree with us. But I mean, we talked with our soil guy. Our soil guy is actually the ones who wanted us to do this, and they've had quite a bit of success with other guys, similar operations of ours and similar ground types of ours over in Illinois. Not to say that they're running, 3 feet of topsoil over there on some of those farms, but there's a stretch in Illinois, central Illinois to be exact, that we've actually drove through. We didn't believe him. We jokingly didn't believe him until we actually drove through it and actually saw that there's an area that we couldn't believe. And they don't even farm the dry corners out there on the irrigated grounds, so, which is quite bizarre to me and Dad when we drove out there. But yeah, we're going to run Y drops on the 28 bar. We also do fertigating through the pivots. Every single pivot we do fertigating on the corn. If we have corn under those irrigators, obviously with the tomatoes, it's not our crop that we're raising. They don't do any fertigating, but they do run the irrigators to water the crop, water the tomato crop throughout the year. They just basically call us up and say, "Hey, we need the irrigator on." We go over there and correlate a time with them to get the irrigator on for them and find out how much they want on, and we turn it on and off for them. So, and then we have done some late season Y dropping. We've just hired that in because obviously with the 4230 sprayer setup that we've got, obviously we're not going to go over 12 plus foot tall corn. We've had a neighbor come in with his Miller Nitro and his Nitro bar, and we've seen between the Y dropping and the toolbar, we've seen I think the 1 year it ended up being like a 20 bushel increase on top of our fertigating, and that was pretty huge. So that just let us know that we could squeeze another application in there on fertigating to kind of substitute running the Y drop slash Miller Nitro, which the Miller Nitro or slash the Y drop option, I mean, that's something not to say I would want to run colders on a high clearance sprayer. Preferably, I would just want to run the Y drops just because I feel the Y drop is the way to go. You're going to have a little bit less damage than running the colder machine in late season. And plus, it gives you some options with fungicide at the same time as well. So that's just some ideas I'm kicking around, when we go to a high clearance sprayer someday, as being able to do that ourselves. The Y dropping. Now, granted, right when we get a high clearance sprayer, I'm not going to say that we're going to, outfit the whole thing with Y drops, because that's a quite expensive thing to do at 400, I believe, 75 a row. No, it's probably more expensive than that. Sorry, I believe side dress Y drops, I believe, are 450 to 475 a row, if I remember right. I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. 475 sticking in my head, I believe, but I believe Y drops for a sprayer, I want to say they're between 5 and 6, and you times that by 25 for a 60-foot boom, because you're going to run 60 foot with a sprayer. It gets pretty expensive. So eventually, yes. But that's, we don't even have a high clearance sprayer at this time. So sprayer for sure. But then after that, move on to getting a Y drop system. But for that leeway period in between getting the high clearance sprayer and getting the Y drop system, it's just a matter of calling up the neighbor that does all of our customs applicating for spreading, because he actually has I don't know what Haggy size it is. I think it's a STS. I believe it's an STS 12, 120 foot booms, and he can just come out and do the Y dropping for us. And if we have any fields that we need the Y drop, which the plan was actually to consider Y dropping some over on the river and do some fungicide applications over there, which the fungicide applications still may hold together. Again, that all depends on how corn's looking in, July, but we'll see. But I highly doubt we're going to do any Y dropping on the river, just due to current corn price situations and stuff like that. But who knows? I mean, a lot can change even day by day or hour by hour even. So who knows what the situation is going to look like here in 3 months from now. So Braxton, what John Deere dealer did he own then? Because that's actually really interesting. I didn't know your great grandpa owned one. That's actually really cool. Was it one like around here or? Yeah, a neighbor of ours is running, still runs a 12 row 7200 dry fertilizer planter. He actually called me tonight when I was putting on the LED lights and was telling me about that and comparing that to the 1745 John Deere planter, and was quizzing me on that and quizzing me on putting LED lights in equipment. And the funny thing was, I was busy putting LED lights in one of the tractors, or well, in the 8530 at that time. So he was quizzing me about putting LED lights in his combine and prices on that and how easy it is to do it. And so, I wouldn't have any idea if Parlbergs are getting less acres due to the coronavirus. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue. We know of them, we're friends with them, um, but we don't talk to Parlbergs on the daily, so I wouldn't have a clue on tomato acres, and I don't know what the tomato situation is. I mean, we haven't even talked to our grower that rents from us yet to get things squared away yet. But as far as we know, and he texted us last week that he's still wanting the 30 some acres there, so that's good to hear. But I don't know the help situation. I don't know everything on that, so I wouldn't have a clue. Yeah, corn went down over $1. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that's the thing with given. It's basically a give and take situation on no-till there. I mean, we're taking out of woods right now over on Grandma's, one of her fields, and you're gonna have to work the ground in order to level the field, and also to bring those sticks and roots up in order to clean that mess up before we go out and plant or cut beans out there, obviously, because that wouldn't be fun running a stick or anything through the combine. Um, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, we really don't like working the snot out of the ground after tomatoes because, I mean, the 1 year alone, I hate to say this, but the 1 year alone, um, the 60 acres, we took 60 acres, the center part of that irrigator 143, there's 60 acres there, and we ended up running that out. We ended up, I ended up working that field six times, all different directions. Um, with the 9400T and the field cultivator. That talk about riding an ocean. It was like uh, it was like getting me seasick out there almost because of how ridged it was out there. They had it. I mean, granted, it was ridged before from when they had tomatoes out there, but wow. I mean, the first time that we put tomatoes out there, we just didn't get it leveled up enough. And the second time, it just, compounded the issue. So it's just a matter of getting it back to where it was. And wow, six times with the field cultivator, that's enough to get a guy sick. But on both, I don't know, riding the ridges out there, and plus, I don't know, destroying the microbiology out there. I mean, it's sickening, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do at that point. So oh, trying to figure out where I left off on the comments here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, we joked about, and we still may do it, um, putting a corn contest out for our customers, basically to uh, compare yield with us, basically. So we'll basically take the 40 on the corner there and crank the yield out of it, and have whoever wants to basically do this contest, uh, it'd be like an open discussion group on comparing all of our notes on what we do to raise the yields that we do, and to kind of help basically bounce ideas off of each other and help one another to raise higher yields. So, I mean, that's still a possibility. Um, but we haven't really talked about it lately, but I imagine here pretty soon, Dad and I will be talking about that again to kind of propose to customers on doing something like that. So Well, that's I. A lot of guys are going to ask me about the side by sides if we're going to do any side by sides with anhydrous and Y drops, and the only issue is it would not be a true comparison, and you guys might be confused on that. But the reason why it wouldn't be a true comparison is because we're going to not only be putting nitrogen down 28 with the Y drops, but we're also going to be running thiazole, which is sulfur. With the 28, so technically it would not be a fair comparison. And plus, we're going to be running micros and with the 28 and thiazole mix, so technically it would not be a true comparison, nitrogen to nitrogen, just different forms and different methods of applying. So, I mean, I would personally love to go get a tank and run it side by side with the applicator and do a test plot and just see, do a side by side and compare yield, but it's just not going to work out with the nutrients that we're going to be, or the nutrients that we're going to be putting down with the applicator to do a true comparison. So, but no, I've talked to countless guys on this because that we were concerned. I mean, honestly, I mean it's a gamble with the Y drops, but I feel it's going to work out really good for us, and I really hope we see the bean yields that we really want to see with this. So, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to talk to your dad, Braxton. Reynolds Farm Equipment you're talking about, like down there, like Atlanta and stuff like that, down kind of north central Indiana, Justin? Yeah, we went through a dry spell there, Braxton, too. Just same was, well, basically same as you guys, because you guys are only about 20 minutes away from us, just down there in North Judson. So yeah, I mean, it got pretty dry here around July, late July. So, have you ever bought anything from Greenmark in Winnemac? It was actually Gilsinger's at the time, but that is where the 9650 came from. We before the S690, we ran a 2001 9650. But yeah, so we ran a 2001 9650, and we ended up buying that used from Gilson at the time down at Winnemac before it was Greenmark. And I believe it had about 900 hours in it. And when we sold it, well, not sold it, traded it with Greenmark, we traded our 9650 and the 893 Cornhead, that 8 row, for a 612C from them, 2012, and still had to boot money from to them to get it. Hard to believe, but when we traded that combine with that Cornhead, it had 4,875 hours on it and 3333 separators. So we definitely got quite a bit of life out of it. Average corn yield. Average corn yield, I would say dry land is 160. And that's just because of the amount of sand that's in the area. So there's quite a bit of sand and high ground that we farm. Jokingly, the beach, just to do to how close we are to Indiana dunes. More than likely, a lot of this ground was dune land at one time. So irrigated ground. For us personally, I would say average about 225, 230 irrigated at least. We've have been averaging. I think that's probably pretty conservative. Them saying that because we have been averaging 240 on the 40 on the corner down there quite frequently, and we have on the big irrigator field cranked out some 300 bushel corn in some spots out there. So I'm not saying average at that point. I'm just saying that we've hit 300 quite frequently out there. And if you were following me last year on when we were running harvest last year, yeah, that was impressive to see. I mean, we've hit 300 one time on the monitor on the 40 on the corner, but when we hit 300 consistently, constantly over the monitor, where you're constantly seeing 306, 302, 307, 311, it's quite a sight to see. I mean, now granted, it wasn't field average. I mean, field average out there ended up being 250, but there was a strip out there, and I don't know if it was something to do with the fertilizer, the dry fertilizer, if our soil guys ended up doing a prescription there and the fertilizer ended up getting increased on a spot there just so they could see the kind of yield boost there, if there was any yield benefit there. And if so, it showed up on the monitor, put it that way. And it sticks out like a sore thumb for sure, because I think the highest setting or the top end on the monitor that Dad had it set at was like 285, and it was a consistent green block there, so it was quite impressive. So no, we've been a Pioneer dealer for over 30 years, so no, we've not tried Bex. We've been 100% Pioneer for over 30 years now. So I'll extend. Those are our beans. We run extend. We do have quite a few customers actually this year transitioning over into Enlist. We've got some customers running Liberty for the past quite a few years. Actually, I've been running Liberty, and eventually, when they come out with Peking beans in Enlist, we will transition over to Enlist just for the ease of applying and flexibility on spraying and stuff like that. So, and the ease of application with T4D versus dicamba. So, hey, I really appreciate that, Case Man. Oh, so you guys must have been buying from Leo then, if you guys were on Pioneer then. Well, I'll put it this way. I mean, we'd be happy to work with you, BGs. I mean, you guys are literally just a stone's throw away from us. We'd be real happy to work with you guys. Who shot a deer last year in the chat? What? Oh, okay. I see what you guys are doing. Do you live in the original farmhouse? The original farmhouse my grandparents live in. We live in a house that Dad built 2002 over just over where the other cold storage shed's at. So personally, Pioneer Liberty beans, I mean, there was a little bit of a yield drag there because there was some Stein genetics in there, but they have picked up quite a bit on yield. I don't know if you've tried them recently, but for the past couple of years now, there's been a really, really overhaul on the Liberty lineup, and there's some really good beans to choose from in the Liberty lineup. All around, there's a really good lineup of beans and corn that Pioneer has to offer now. So, how far away do you deliver Pioneer seed? It depends. I mean, we work with guys down now in North Judson. We work with guys over a little bit over, mostly kind of around the Wanata, Union Mills area. But I mean, really, I know there's guys that run outside of state, and that's basically way out of territory. So we try and keep it in our reps have a territory that they are allowed in, or not necessarily allowed in, but this is kind of their recommended sales circumference. And then there's each rep has their kind of a customer list, and we kind of we work on building more and more every single year. But I mean, I'm open to. I'm not going to run, put it that way, state lines or out of territory, but I'd be open to working with anyone that's within our area that's interested in planting Pioneer. Put it that way. I mean, I'd be open to doing anything with anyone in our area. So I'm not going to do like what some reps do and run clear over into Iowa from our area, and Illinois or Ohio, even I believe, and up into Michigan. That's that's crazy and a lot of work, but I just don't have the time to run all the way all around everywhere to do that. But yeah. Do you know the Wolf brothers? Yep, I know Doug, Dave, Garrett, and all of them. Garrett was actually in my class, and Garrett has a YouTube channel, I believe. I don't know if he's still active on that. So, to be honest, I do not know where Jay County is. I'm going to Google that real quick to find out exactly whereabouts you would be located. I see Eva. Just trying to think off the top of my head whereabouts that would be. Muncie. Okay. Yeah, that's a little ways away, way out of our territory. Yeah, that's over by Fort Wayne. Yeah, that's quite a ways away for us. But yeah, I'd say I'd be willing to work with anyone between, I don't know, Wheatfield down to Berryville over to Highway 23 or Grovertown, just on the other side of Hamlet, all the way up to really. So that kind of whole block in there. So, but I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything. So if you guys are already buying seed from another Pioneer rep, no, I mean, that's, I don't want to take customers away from another Pioneer rep, but if you're open to working, if you want to work with us and you don't buy Pioneer seed currently, yeah, I'd be more than happy to work with you guys, son. But yeah. Oh, so you're going to go all E3 this year. That's cool. Yeah. See, we would have won E3 this year, but I think there's only one variety right now in Peking that we offer, and it's just too early of maturity for us to plant full season. We would consider it for a double crop. It's like a 24T. Is my book here? No, my book's on Dad's desk because we were figuring up some beans today, but yeah, so once Pioneer offers more Peking beans in the Enlist lineup, that's our route. We're going to end all E3. More than likely, if the E3 works out the way they say it's going to, which we went down to some training down in Sheridan, Indiana, I believe, and it was quite impressive seeing the Enlist in action. Compared to dicamba and the drift tolerance compared to dicamba. So, no, we're located in Indiana, Northwest Indiana. So relatively same for us then, Case Man. Then yeah, so 160, 65. Okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, Dad actually worked for him when he was younger, back in his basically my age, with the 4650 and stuff like that, pulling trailers for him. And he also worked for Parlbergs as well when they did tomatoes and stuff like that. So in specialty crops, well, they still do, but when Dad was my age. So, yeah, we fight the water hemp on the low ground and Maresjo on the high ground. So it's not fun. We absolutely do not like water hemp. Definitely not fun. Nor mare's tail. So, How many, like how many miles ish? I mean, I don't know. Let me figure that up real quick, Daniel. I mean, like I said, though, I mean, want to. That's quite a ways away for us to do pioneer business at. But I mean, I would love to work with you if only you were just a little bit closer. Um, like I said, I don't want to run through territory reps, boundaries, and stuff like that. I mean, I want to be able to at least work in. I want to work in all of Port County, part of Stark County, and part of Porter County. That's basically my realm I would want to work in, and a little bit down by Winnemac and Francisville, or well, not clear down by Francisville, but like Medaryville, I should say, St. Pierre and stuff like that, North Judson, Bass Lake area. Well, probably not in the Bass Lake area, but Winnemac might be a little too far out of the realm, though. But doesn't matter. Dad is going to be 56 on May 24th. There you go. Yeah. I don't know if anybody planting Augusta corn, but I wouldn't be surprised. Seed business was grandpa's and got transitioned down to dad, and I am put on as an associate rep, just like how dad was with grandpa. So it's a co-run business. So dad runs, just as much as what I do. So I'm, just as much as part of it as what dad is. So. Yeah, I know up in Minnesota, there seems to be a lot of channel in the Calberry dominance over Pioneer up in that area. I mean, it just all depends on the area. Exactly what Peter just said. I mean, it just all depends on the area. I mean, it just seems to be I'm not trying to start anything at all by saying this at all. I don't want to start anything. I'm just saying it seems to be the exact opposite in our area. But again, just like what Peter said, it all depends on the area, how performance is. I mean, and plus in different areas, there's different varieties also. So, I mean, it's just all on location, and variety performance per location. So, I don't know how late a corn you guys plant. I mean, we plant anywhere between 100 day. There is some guys that actually plant 98 day, 99 day, which that's a little way too early for us or our liking. The earliest we like to go, we've planted is 103. We've done 0157 was, personally, I didn't care for 0157 for us. I mean, it was a good early season corn, but just for our operation, I just didn't feel it was the greatest. I felt 306 was a little bit better than 0157. But yeah, 339. I did not like 339. No, 339 was all right, but 306 on the high ground, whew, wow, it really burned up the 1 year on our ground, and on the low ground on the same farm, it cranked out the yield, but on the high ground, it just did not produce very good. But 506 is a really big one in our area. 506 is a go anywhere, crank out the yield corn. Even on especially on dry land, it's got a really, really good drought tolerance. 688 for sure is a good replacement for 506 because 506 is pretty much done in our area. 720 is huge. We sold a lot of that this year. 825, 806 is actually 25 in our area. 977, that's not a really big one, but I think 935 is going to be a big one to replace it in our area. We didn't have a really good luck with 977, but 935, I'm really hoping is going to take its place there. 1077, we're going to be planting 40 acres of that this year under the one irrigator, the 40 on the corner actually. And we did get that 1213 that I was talking about last night. We got that secured for the grandma's, so that's going to be really exciting. So because it's going to be all plot seed actually. So, but 1197, we've well, that field I was talking about that we were hitting 300 bushel in, that was actually 1197. But the funny thing on that, we over on Shins, we had on that Porter field, there's 60 acres in that Porter field, and there's a 6 tower irrigator on that. We fertigate that, and we only put, what we do, two applications fertigating. Not, I don't think it was three, but two. I know for sure. And Dad had 825 in the plant. No, he had 1197 in the planter because he was coming over from the 40 on the corner and had 1197 still in the planter and was going to plant out the 1197 and then switch over to 825 because I was bringing over to 825 because I had to stop drilling and bring over 825 in the in-furrow so he could fill up on in-furrow. And that 20 acres of 1197, believe it or not, yielded 5 bushel less across the board average compared to the 40 acres of 825 in that very same field. But the funny thing was on the big irrigator field was also a different story too because they had 3 applications and slightly different ground, a little bit more sandier. So I mean, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I personally love 1197. I know it's probably going to end up sticking around here for a few more years, but I have a feeling 1213 and 1077 is going to be big corn in our area, hopefully. So. Our Y family Pioneer soybeans are common in Indiana. So Y series soybeans, I think, went away in our area about 6 years ago. Probably the biggest number that we planted was 93 Y20. I think it was 93 Y25s. That I think was a big one. For some reason, that number sticks in my mind really badly right now is 93 Y25s, and I think that was the number, and that was really huge in our area. Right now, the probably 3 biggest numbers I would say in the extend lineup that are really dominating in our area is 27 A17s. That's basically like 506 or 688 on corn. If you were to pick a corn number that's comparative to how 27 A17s perform on beans, 27 A17s is a go anywhere bean in my opinion, and well, Dad's opinion also. We've seen monstrous yields out of it. Actually, that field down on Grandma's that I was talking about last night with 100 bushel beans that we were hitting. Now, I'm not saying that field average. I talked about that last night. That field average 40. But where the low ground was, where it seemed to have a little bit more moisture, those beans were literally like, I kid you not. If I would show you the yield map if I could, but I just can't really. I mean, I probably could pull it up on my phone, but it probably wouldn't show up too good on a webcam. But anyways, where you came off of the high ground and into the low ground, it immediately shot up to 75 to 100 bushel beans. I kid you not. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. And we were just beside ourselves when we saw the monitor hitting 100. Now, granted, it wasn't going over 100, but you were getting in that 99, 101 bushel range in some spots. That's insane. I mean, we've never have seen that on beans before. 80, 85 for sure, 90 sometimes, but 100. I mean, wow, that's insane. But as soon, that 75 to 100 bushel area, as soon as you literally came off that area and into the sand, 25 to 40 bushel beans. Kid you not. I mean, it was like that. And that's just how the timing was on the rains. I mean, you could easily tell basically the earlier planted beans were hurt harder and stressed more when those timely rains did not come in July versus the later planted beans, which was pretty surprising. But there again, where the beans were able to get moisture on those early planted beans, it cranked the yield, and it was unbelievable. So, um, yeah, cool. We got Fred here from Australia. I appreciate that. That's cool. Um, yeah, there's Pioneer seed tender deals. I mean, you just got to work with your Pioneer rep on that. Um, we've done a couple, not recently, but we've done a couple of Pioneer seed tender deals. Um, but yeah, so there's a whole, uh, there's a lot of things that we can do. Not just seed tenders, but there's equipment CPAs that we can do and stuff like that. So to um, add some benefit there also. So, but yeah, back to the Y family. Yeah, so the Y family soybeans, those kind of went away about not 6 years ago. It was more like 10 years ago. Um, they went away. Well, 8 years ago. That was kind of when the A series. Well, that was when the A series came out, and well, no, sorry, the T series. The T series was kind of there for what, a couple of years, and then the T series went away, and then the A series emerged, and the A series is still here. In my opinion, it's the best lineup of beans that Pioneer has, and then the T series is now the Enlist series. So it's take for example 28T 14E. That's the Enlist uh, notation for Pioneer soybeans is the T in the middle and the E at the end. But then for like say Extend beans, it's 27A 17s X for Extend. So and then Liberty, it's 31A 95L. So you still have the A series in Liberty, but you get Liberty traits, so you get the L at the end of it. So just simplest things like that. So yeah. So the only tile drainage that we have is actually over at that river farm, and we are possibly considering putting some more over there just in a wet spot that we have, and it's just due to drainage issues with a ditch that we have no control over. The neighbor has control over that, and he's not interested in cleaning the ditch. So I mean, we basically our only option at that point is to either uh, create another surface drain, which we do not want to do because that would change the entire way that we farm that farm, and I really do not want to change the way that we farm that farm. Just because of the way we farm it now is makes things perfect on splitting it 50-50, 150 for corn and beans. So because that's a 300-acre farm over there. The other option is we can run tile, which is more than likely what we're going to end up doing if we decide to do it. But there's quite a bit of tile out there to begin with. So did Pioneer rule out 1316? I do not know for sure on that. I should just go grab my book. I'll be right back. I know 6 is still around. That will actually out yield in our area 1197, but 1316, I don't even see that in our territory book. Well, that's actually for the whole state of Indiana that I'm actually holding right now, but it might still be available in other areas though. No, we're not planting any Enlist soybeans. We do have customers that are, but no, we ourselves are not planting any Enlist soybeans. Not until they come out with some Peking beans, because we need the Peking trait on our higher sands. So, no, I do not have a girlfriend. No, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's quite a few people out there that do not like 1197, and I think that could have been just because there's some standability issues in some areas. But honestly, and honest to God, I mean, we have not had any standability issues on 1197. This thing put stock, and I swear it's like a tree stump. It's unbelievable. This thing, and it will put out a photocopy ear. Every ear just seems to be a photocopy of each other, and it's unbelievable. Same thing with the 825. The 825, I always call, and Dad calls it too, baseball bat ears. It's just unbelievable. So I would say comparing soybean lineups, Y series, the A series is just like the Y series, but really just the A series just takes yield to a whole new level on soybeans for Pioneer. I mean, I know Y series did a tremendous job on yield, but A series just takes that to another plateau on yield. No, we don't. Well, no, we don't have any terraces. I mean, we do have a surface drain that we go through over on the river farm that we farm through. But no other terraces. Any new purchases? Actually, there is one coming. Like I said last night, I don't even know when my thing's coming from Greenmark for sure. I know it's the end of April, but I don't know. I haven't really heard from our salesman because it's coming out of Minnesota, and I hope with the COVID-19 thing, I hope nothing's really delayed on that. So, technically, I mean, we were pretty late on getting it. Really sure what we were going to pull the trigger on, and I ended up deciding to buy it. So what town is that, T? Which town are you talking about? Yeah, that you hit the nail right on your head. I can't even talk. Yeah, you're definitely right there, Sean. I have, and I don't know. I guess I ran for a little bit, and then I ended up pulling a muscle in my leg from running, and I've been just doing incline walking just because it's simpler. And actually, I mean, it's to me it makes more sense to do incline walking because to me it's just calories in, calories out type deal, and just doing that, and it just seems to work out really good. So not only that, and then weightlifting. So yeah, I've talked to quite a bit of guys out in Nebraska that I follow, and there's quite a few terraces out there. Personally, I'm glad that we don't have any, but like I said before, you guys always ask if we have rocks. We don't have rocks, but we're blessed with beach sand. A lot of sand. Actually, LaPorte County is the most irrigated county in the state of Indiana. And part of that is due to the seed corn, this being a seed corn epicenter county between Pioneer, Bayer, Remington, Wyckoff, and all of them. So DeKalb. So have not ever heard of Black Label Starter. Carson, would you mind elaborating on that quite a bit? Because honestly, I want to learn a little bit more about that because I've actually never heard of Black Label Starter near Bloomington. Let me check that out. I know Bloomington's quite a ways away. Crane, Indiana. I should have just Googled Crane, Indiana. That's true. Sand is good if you got irrigation, but not good if you're mostly dry. Mostly dry land. I mean, currently right now, between the rented farms and the farms that we own that have irrigation, um, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 irrigators, 3 rented and 3 that we own. Well, uh, 3 that we own. Well, we own all. Well, not all of them. There's one that we don't own over in Stark County. So that farm already had an irrigator on it. So Crane, Indiana, I see where that's at. So it's south of Bloomington, halfway between Linton and Bedford. So I'm gonna guess off the top of my head, 3.5 hours. So it's just under 4 hours. So, but yeah, so there's Zematic. We run all Zematic pivots. We've personally prefer Zematic. We've had really good luck with them, and so far every pivot that we've put in has treated us very well. I mean, we've had zero. Well, I can't say we've had zero issues because we've had GPS issues, like I talked about last summer in videos. On the irrigators over on Shins, we've been fighting GPS issues on both of those irrigators over on Shins, especially the far pivot on the Twin Church field. The Porter field seems to be okay now. We got that fixed, but we ended up replacing the GPS box on it this year because it actually needed to be updated. And the guy asked me if we should, instead of fixing the GPS box, because that one actually ended up getting struck by lightning, that we just go ahead and replace the box entirely with the updated one. And I called up Dad and talked with him about it. We ended up deciding to go ahead and replace it because my thought was just to go ahead and replace it. But yeah, wells. We whatever well sizes. I got to remember offhand what those even are. Size of wells that we put down. I know the big irrigator. We've got 3 wells over there. And all of our 3 tower pivots are have 1 well at each of them, and then the pivots over on Shins have 2 wells, but we run 1 irrigator off of both of those wells, so we can only run 1 irrigator at one time. But we can move the second one if need to, but not run it on water though. So. We used to run 1034.0. Well, for starter, we still run 1034.0 in the in-furrow with our in-furrow mix, I should say. We're in conjunction with our in-furrow mix because we mix that with our proprietary in-furrow mix made by our soil guys. But we are running 22703S on the starter, and we're getting that from the co-op, and that is what they call their corn mix or corn blend. So, but yeah, that's for the Lions. They actually ended up putting up a 24-hour facility over in Malden. That's actually where a lot of the corn that when we did the custom work, that's where we were. Well, Grandpa and I hauled to. Dad never really hauled. Well, Dad hauled there once. That was one of our loads, but which Dad's never been there. I've never hauled to Malden before. I've only hauled the Union Mills and Hamlet, but when we've hauled the Malden over there, that was pretty cool hauling the Malden over there. And they were putting up a 750,000 bushel bin over there, and they put in a 24-hour fertilizer facility. So basically, from what we're hearing, we're going to be able to get starter 24 hours a day, or any fertilizer for that matter, liquid. I I imagine anhydrous as well, because I think, yeah, they carry tanks over there, I know. Um, and I believe it's just going to be like a hang tag situation, which I know a lot of Cargill elevators and probably ADMs and Bungees over in your guys' areas that you guys follow me from are going to hang tags, if not are already on hang tag systems. Um, and it's just the out. And yeah, so I think from what Dad and I and Grandpa are hearing, it's going to be a 24-hour facility now over there for liquid fertilizer, which that's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to go test that out and see how that's like over there. All of our pivots are electric. Funny thing, Grandpa is the president of the local KVREMC board here, so that's pretty cool. He's the president of the board of directors, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, same in our area. There's some guys that run 32. Yeah, which we might run 32 someday instead of 28. I mean, just all depends. So depends on price too. Yeah, I'm not bashing any other brands by any means on irrigators. I mean, it all boiled down to price, and for us, I mean, to us, it just seemed like the Zomatics seemed to be a little bit better of quality. I mean, I'm not bashing Valley, TNL, or Ranky or any of the other ones by any means. It just seemed to us that Zomatics were good, and I know they all have their flaws and their benefits, and the Zomatics have so far worked really good for us. So, but no, all of our irrigators are fixed pivots, so there's no tillables. They're all fixed to a point. There's no towing, so I'm so thankful that we did not do any towables. And they're all electric, so no engines. We do. We don't have our own proprietary RTK system. We run off of John Deere. So half the time we're running off of Green Mark's tower, and the other half of the time we're running off of the Malden tower, which Malden's tower is Castonia's. So we're kind of halfway between towers. So I don't know. But yeah, both the auto steer systems we have two. One that Dad bought back in 07 from when we were going to start strip tilling, and strip tilling did not work out for us, so we ended up quitting that in 2011, I think. That's the whole reason why we bought the 9400T was strictly for strip tilling, so that's why we ran the 9400T, and that's why when we quit strip tilling, there was really no need to have the 9400T, and that's why we wanted to step down to a row crop tractor or another row crop tractor, or 80. That's why we ended up getting the 8530, and the 8530 has been a solid tractor. I absolutely love that tractor. I mean, if you guys couldn't tell. But yeah. Yeah, 32 is big. It's starting to become bigger and bigger every year in our area. 2004 is what we run a lot through the pivots down here. So last year we ran a lot of just straight 28s. The one application we did 28 and thiazole on the fertigating, but strictly last year we did a lot of 28, and that was just because we didn't want to put the pressure on Co-Alliance to blend 2004, because there's a process to that, to making 2004. You can do it. There's just a blending process on how to do it. So we didn't want to pester them on 2004. There's a neighbor that actually does run 2004 on a lot of their beans. We haven't tried running 2004 on beans. We ran 28 on beans one year fertigating, but didn't see any yield benefit there. Actually, the high ground where the irrigator did not hit actually out yielded the irrigated, believe it or not, by like 1 to 2 bushel. But still, I mean, it was quite interesting to see there. I mean, I don't know if it had to do with a stress trigger there for yield, which, talking about that, I mean, there's the option of rolling beans, and there again, the question may arise on, have you ever considered rolling or stressing your beans also with like um, Cobra? Because I know there's some guys out there that either spray Gramoxone or Cobra on their beans to stress them early on or stress them at a certain stage in order to set the nodes tighter and produce more pods then, and have a more definite pod set and overall increase yields. We've talked about doing that with Cobra. Um, Never have actually done it yet, but that we may someday. I don't think this year we will. I highly doubt it, but yeah, that might be something we might look into. I highly doubt we'll end up rolling them someday. I mean, I really, again, there's no point. The problem is, from this point going forward after the strip till, I wouldn't say mistake purchase. I mean, it was a gamble on that. I mean, who knows? Strip till, I mean, if strip till would have worked out for us, I mean, it would have been huge. But since it didn't work out for us, it was just a really, I can't remember how I phrased that as what kind of a purchase that was, but it was oddball, basically an oddball purchase for our area. And it's a niche item. That's what it was. That's what I was thinking of, or trying to think of, a niche item. And basically it's hard to move those items when there's such a small market for those items. And so like a land roller in our area, nobody rolls their ground in our area just due to a lack of rocks. And typically, when you're land rolling or using a land roller, it's due to rocks. I mean, I know a lot of guys that I follow roll their ground in order to press those rocks farther down into the ground so they don't have any issues harvesting beans. I think I don't know of anybody rolling corn. I've never heard of anybody rolling corn. So, yeah, possibly Braden. I mean, it just depends if I have time and stuff, um, but yeah. So getting back on the bean thing, I mean, um, I don't know. I mean, it just going forward, I don't want to buy something that's going to be harder to sell or have a lesser resale value. So yeah, I know like a Gearinghoff roto disc was a corn head that Dad and I were really really looking hard into, but the resale value on them, they just get hammered so bad. And I'm looking at comparing to a John Deere or a name brand piece of equipment on resale value. That's huge to me. Resale value is huge on equipment to me, and into that as well. I mean, that's why we're mainly John Deere. And if we buy something from going, this point going forward, um, it's going to be something that either we know we're going to be able to use and have the ability to extend the longevity of its life, hence the vertical till. Vertical till with the Great Plains. The resale market on those are kind of up in the air. I mean, it just really all depends on the acres and the wear and stuff like that. But I mean, go through the gangs and replace all the blades and the bearings, and you're good to go then. But we have yet to do that, and I imagine in the next couple of years here, we're going to definitely need to be looking at doing that. But who knows? We might, depending on how things turn out, turn around here. If hopefully there will be a turnaround here with the corn market. There's got to be at some point, but I would kind of like to consider trading it before it comes down to that. But I have a feeling we're going to end up rebuilding that before we end up trading it. That might be a purchase that I end up making in the future of going to, when it boils down to it, possibly trading. I mean, it just all depends on how much more wear we can put on them before we have to rebuild it. But personally, I'd like to move up to a 35-foot vertical till, just because I know the 8530 could handle it. And if the tractor can handle it, might as well add the extra width to be able to cover more acres in a day. So No, we did not restore the 4020. We did get it running. The 4020 will be in quite a few videos throughout the year this year. So, yeah. Yeah, I know land rolling's big in Minnesota. That is a big area, I know. I know there's some acres in Iowa. I know there's quite a few acres in Illinois. There's a lot of guys I follow that roll ground and pick rocks. And personally, I'm just glad that we don't have any rocks. That's nice. So, yep. Just going to scroll back through the comments here and make sure I did not miss anything on here. So Logan Grieger, yeah, that's a comment I kind of completely stepped over. I can't believe I did not see that one, but yeah, the family farm that was built up by Grandpa. I mean, the ground that we own was accumulated since 1960, and there's about 500 acres that we own. We did own a little bit more at one point, but then immediately there was some deals going around that we ended up switching some stuff around. But a lot of the original ground that Grandpa ended up buying, well, all of it is still in the family. I mean, there was one piece that we ended up flipping, but yeah. So there's all the ground is still intact. I mean, we haven't sold anything or done any transitions or anything with that or anything like that. So, but yeah, so it was all built up. There was no inheritance there from Grandpa that he ended up accumulating any. It was all built up by him. So that's really cool. Did you really want the 4020 on the auction? Personally, it went for way too much, and I bid it up way too high. I mean, with no 3-point arms, no center link or top link. I know it had over 11,000 hours on it. Needed an overhaul. What else? Tires weren't necessarily bad, but they needed replaced all the way around. Would have been a nice restoration project. Personally, $5,000 was probably what it should have went for, but 68. I mean, I bid it up to 65, and that was my absolute limit. Put it that way. I mean, I was willing to go 65 if it came down to it, and I took it there. And they wanted me to go 67 because just the way the bidding fell, and I told them no way. And they wanted me to go. Well, then they ended up coming down to 66 or 67.50, and I told them no way. And someone else ended up jumping in on that and ended up taking it up to 6,800. And but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would have been a cool little project and cool to say that I myself own a 4020. So what's a 4020 worth? Name your price, because that's what it seems like guys are willing to pay this year, considering one, John Deere named it the year of the 4020. So I've seen guys sell them on Facebook anywhere between that are fully restored, anywhere between 20,000. Well, no, even down to 15,000 fully restored, which I'm surprised they would go that low, all the way up to 50,000. I mean, it's whatever you're willing to pay, put it that way. So, and basically name your price game. So, there was a 4430 open station that I was after there also at that same auction, which that had, I think, 7,500 hours on it. And the whole idea behind that was I was thinking of just restoring it. And I kind of was on the idea track with Dad. Dad solely wanted me to buy it to make it a farm stock pulling tractor, and that would have been pretty awesome. With the 406 in it, and that would have been That would have been a really cool pulling tractor. But anyways, that went for too much too. I was, same thing again, 5,000 and 6,500. 5,000 was kind of like, if I could buy for that, that'd be cool. 6,500, that was my absolute limit, and that ended up going for like, I think it ended up going for 67 or 6,800. I didn't even place a bid on it because it immediately started out at $5,000, and I'm like, that's a little too rich for my blood, put it that way, for what that thing's worth. And technically, that 4430, just the way it was cosmetically looking and physically sounded, I mean, it needed a little bit of work on the engine. And obviously, if you're going to turn it into a pulling tractor, I mean, you would end up, going through the entire engine and doing a complete overhaul and doing everything and messing with the injectors and stuff like that. But to me, it was top dollar should have been 5,000. When the bidding started out at 5,000, I'm like, oh wow, that's everything at that auction went for way too much money, I felt, or top dollar, put it that way. I was very surprised about that. So seeing the office comment, I remember somebody just now from way earlier asked about the dimensions of the office. The dimensions of the office is 64 by 36. The entire building is 32 by 36 for the office side and 32 by 36 for the garage side. 12 by 18 for each office. There's two offices here, mine and Dad's. So 12 by 18 for mine, 12 by 18 for his. And the meeting room over there is 20 by 21, 20-ish. So, and then the kitchen and then the bathroom. So, how much did that office cost to build? That does not need to be disclosed. So, what beginner camera and drone would you recommend? A Phantom 3 Pro, honestly, if you could pick up one of those, that was a really cool drone. So I ended up sinking it in the bottom of the Kankakee River. Funny story on that. I was flying the river, at least our stretch of the river there. Not our stretch. I mean, I just call it our stretch just because we farm up against it on the Kankakee. And I was I was flying just above the water, going through and showing our farm manager, because we have a farm manager on that farm, that because he wanted me to fly it for him and show him all the snags in the river that need to be done. And I was flying, and I thought it'd be cool to fly under the bridge. And this was back on my early days of flying, guys. So, I mean, if you guys think really flying under the bridge, you're going to get signal loss. Well, I took a gamble on it. And, again, I was on my early stages of flying the drone. And, it didn't come out on the other side of the bridge, put it that way. And it's probably clear down in the Mississippi River by now. But, so I ended up losing that. And I don't know if there was like a return to home situation there where it ended up I imagine there was a return to home situation, because in the event of a failsafe there, the return to home is triggered when the signal is lost. So I imagine when the return to home was triggered, when it flew up, it hit the bottom of the bridge and, there again, fell in the river. So, so I sunk that one. For one of my first times flying the drone, it was probably my fourth time, and I was actually over there on the river farm, same drone, fourth time flying, and it was like 15 degrees out. And I, again, early stages of flying, I know now how fast the battery life can get sapped out of them, especially those LiPo, those lithium-ion batteries, in colder weather, and heating your batteries before you fly in colder weather. That is huge too. Because one, it takes a lot of power to begin with if you put a cold or not heated battery in the drone in those cold temperatures, because what it's going to do is it's going to take all the power from the battery to warm that battery before flying, and then get up to flying. And then you're going to end up having issues there because of lack of power in the battery, and lesser battery life and quicker battery life draining. So, and wear and tear in the battery in general, because that's pretty hard on the LiPo battery. But anyways, we were flying. I Dad wanted me to fly. I don't even. He was doing some ditch cleaning work, and over there by the river, not on the river, but over by the river farm, catty corner to that, a neighbor, my dad's best friend, who actually I talked to tonight. That's who I was talking about earlier in the stream. But anyways, I was checking on some stuff that Dad wanted me to fly in the air, fly over and see, so he could see what else he needed to do. And he just wanted to see it from the air, and I was not paying attention to the battery life, and I ended up I was probably 75 feet up in the air, and batteries died. Literally, it it crashed, and it was, how much did it cost to? It was $150 just to get the thing shipped out to California to Drone Repair, and Drone Repair charged me $156, and I believe I still do have those motors, because what happened was the batteries died, and no, the batteries did not die. I take that back. The batteries did not die. What happened was there was not enough life in the battery to put towards the propulsion of the propellers. So the propellers started spinning slower due to, one, the lack of warm air, the colder air having issues with the propeller propulsion, keeping it up in the air. There again, that also contributes to why battery life is sapped out of it. But there again, I had a lack of propulsion there, and I wouldn't say nosedive, but it hit the ground. When it was on an angle, two of the propellers were not able to rotate, while the other two were able to rotate. And I was trying to shut the controller off frantically, and I was, you got to click and then hold. And I was trying to do that, and I just, frantically panicked, because seeing your drone on the ground like that, it kind of freaks you out, because there was smoke too, because of the fact that the propellers were not spinning on that side. And I ended up burning up both those motors on that side, and they ended up needing to put a new motherboard in. But Dad reached down, ended up cutting his hand open, not bad, just real lightly there, but still cut his hand open when he reached down, because propellers were still spinning on that top, on the one side of it. And I ended up just taking the battery out, which technically you should not be doing that, taking the battery out of a drone that's propellers are operating or spinning, so that you need to shut the battery off before you pull the drone out. But that was a whole instance there before I sunk her in the bottom of the Kankakee River. But now, with the Phantom 4, and that I've had that for, I don't know, since 2018. And now the Mavic 2 that I bought last November. So I've got two of those, or both of those now. And yeah, so, but yeah, so just fun stuff like that. But getting back to a camera then for the drone, or besides a drone, I would definitely recommend looking at a Phantom 3 if you want to get on the cheap side. If you're looking at the portability on a newer side, look at the Mavic series. Mavic series, definitely. If you're going to look at a Phantom, a newer Phantom 4 Pro, I think now they're calling them Phantom 4 Pro V2 version 2. I'm not entirely sure what they entirely changed. Battery life's the same, controller is the same. I imagine just some fine tuning there in the motherboard and some settings that they changed for the collision avoidance and stuff like that. But Phantom 4 Pro V2 is what I would highly recommend, or Mavic 2 Pro for sure. Both of those is what I run. Sorry, not the Phantom 4 Pro V2, but Phantom 4 Pro. But there again, the newer Phantom 4 Pros are called the Phantom 4 Pro V2. But a camera, GoPros are very versatile. I would highly recommend a GoPro. GoPro Hero 5s, definitely. I did not have a good luck with the Hero 6. Hero 7s were all right. Audio quality was a little bad on those. Hero 6s, image quality was not the greatest. The color saturation was low compared to the Hero 5s. Hero 7s, they improved that. But the sound quality, or the audio quality, wasn't that good. Hero 8s all around are really, really good GoPro, but that's if you're willing to spend that kind of money. on a new GoPro, which I believe a new GoPro is what, $399 or $499. So yeah, I mean, there's talking about the 24 rows and 6 verse 16. I talked about that a lot yesterday, last night. 24 row, foreseeable or definitely in the future, for the next planter for corn. Um, yeah, there is some smaller fields at 24 rows are kind of you would look at and say really, but you make do with what you have. And there's I would say our average field size is 50. Um, People might say, really, why do you need a 24 row? Well, I'm just looking at being more efficient in the spring, and knowing what we can do. Um, but for right now, our current acres, 24 row is not the option. But within 5 years, 4 years, a 24 row is definitely in the works. So now, granted, I don't know if we would consider running a 40-foot or a 60-foot. Sorry, let me take that back. 60-foot on beans. It just really boils down to price at that point. Personally, I would see us running a 40-foot, but I can definitely see us running a 60-foot bean planter someday. I mean, just the way I see it, it's all about efficiency. If you can increase your overall efficiency, that's just going to speed up everything. I mean, that, I'm looking at our grain setup, what we need to do to that to increase our efficiency in the fall, in regards to on-farm storage, just to increase our drying capacity in wetter years, because that's basically our bottleneck. I mean, you just basically got to look at your bottlenecks and understand what those are, and determine the factors needed to alleviate those bottlenecks in order to increase your overall farm efficiency. And that's basically what Dad and I have been working on over the past many years now, is determining our bottlenecks. There again, that's the tender build. It's a two birds with one stone type situation. I mean, the in-furrow, we did a makeshift utility trailer with an in-furrow tank, 550-gallon in-furrow tank, and then we had the tanker. The tanker was a pretty good purchase at the time, not knowing that it was sold to us, told to us that it was a stainless steel, but it ended up being, when it was all said and done, an actual aluminum tanker, which aluminum and phosphates don't really work out. So that's over the years of corrosion from that. And with a two birds with one stone situation, with this tender setup that we built with the van trailer with two 2,800 gallons for starter or side dress, and then the in-furrow tank for in-furrow, and possibly micronutrients, depending on if the micronutrient mix is going to end up being in 2.5-gallon jugs, which I'm positive it should be, but it might end up being in a tote. So there again, we'll end up putting that in the in-furrow tank, which isn't a big deal. I mean, that we can mix that and do all that and do whatever. But that's also why we put the 60-gallon inductor in there. So, if we need to directly mix stuff into the 3-inch pump, which is going to pull off of the 2,800-gallon, and then the 2-inch pump are going to pull off the 1,550-gallon cone bottom. So, I mean, it's just all about increasing your overall efficiency. And plus, the cool thing is with that tender setup, we can put seed in the back of it and utilize the lift gate. And with the pallet jack, we can pull seed out on that lift gate and lower it down to ground level and pull seed off of that. So it's just kind of like technically a three birds with one stone situation there, because we use the green truck, the 450 with the flatbed, and just put seed on that and pulled the in-furrow tank with that. So, so now pretty much the green truck's going to go basically back to a fuel truck at this point. So eventually, Dad was actually showing me in a magazine from what's the company called? Northern Tool, I think. I can't remember what the magazine was called. We buy some stuff there from sometimes, and I think there's he told me it's not labeled as a fuel tank because legally you have to have placards anything over 110 and or compartmentized. But I believe this one was a 200 or 300 gallon fuel tank. Tank, transfer tank. It was not labeled for fuel because obviously you would need placards or compartments to be legal with that. But I think it was like $300, $500. I mean, it wasn't bad. And honestly, it's like, you know what? Put a 200 or 300 gallon fuel tank in the back of the truck. Man, that'd be nice, especially in the fall. The way that 690 runs. Now, granted, I mean, I've told the 690 story over and over again how we ended up acquiring that. That was a deal of a lifetime at an auction. So, and I would do that any other day. If that situation ever came about again. I mean, it's hard to tell because there's been quite a few deals going on lately, especially with the way things are going with equipment now. So, yeah. Would I like to have a 7320? I don't know. I mean, it just all depends. I haven't really looked at the 7020 series really. I don't know. I just never really looked into them. Personally, I think like a 6190, well, really like a 6160 or I don't even know if they make a 6160, but like a 6195R or 6195M, something like that. That'd be kind of cool as a loader tractor, I think. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could use your phone camera. I mean, like Diesel and Farming Brothers just said you can use your phone camera. My phone camera takes amazing pictures. This is a Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Yeah, there's my background there. Whole bunch of Snapchat and Snapchat and YOLO notifications on there. My phone's been vibrating like crazy over here. Do I need any tractor tires? No, we've don't need any tractor tires. Is it stabilized? Are you talking about the GoPro or the drone? Because the drone has a gimbal, Phantom 3s on up, and they were all gimbalized. The Hero 5 was the first GoPro, I believe, to have a gimbal in there, and they've improved that gimbal over and over again. And the Hero 8 is unbelievable on stabilization. Oh, okay. Let's just kind of scroll back through the comments here and make sure I'm not missing any of you guys. It takes quite a bit of time, Diesel and Farming Brother. I mean, it took me quite a bit of time. If you go back to like my first vlog, I mean, you can tell I really butchered it at first, and now it's just getting accustomed to it. Once you get accustomed to it and get comfortable with the camera, I mean, it's fun, really, really fun. Yeah, cold weather, especially on the GoPro, I've noticed too. It'll drain batteries on that. On the GoPros, I run 128 gig cards, and on the both my drones, I run 128 gig cards on that. And the reason being is just because if I get away from the computer, I know I have enough room for storage on there. I know it would take quite a bit of time to fill up 128 gigs. So that just kind of gives me a buffer. So I could have like 5 videos sitting on a GoPro and still keep recording. So, and then the problem is with that, then I got to sort through, and it takes a whole bunch of time to sort through all that footage in order to compile a video together. So it just takes me a little bit more time. But yeah. Oh, geez. That's who I was talking to, Braden. Hey, thanks, Tony. I really appreciate it. You just need to get another 8530. Hey, I mean, after Dad ran it, I mean, he's like, we just need to get another 8530. I'm like, honestly, yeah. I mean, you could, if we could buy another 8530 for the price we did for the value we got, I mean, that'd be an awesome replacement for the 4650, in my opinion. So, yeah, we're definitely ready to plant. I just want to go through the meters again real quick on the corn planter for the that we put bean meters in there. I want to double check the tension or the tightness on those bean meter plates to make sure those are tight. And because I don't think those were tight enough when I put those on, so I'm going to double check those and get that done. So. Yeah. No, I do all the filming and I do all the video editing and everything. So I'm on both sides of that there, Diesel. Self-taught on video editing. A lot of guys ask me that. Yeah, I'm self-taught. So I learned quite a bit and I'm still learning. Just scrolling back through the comments here to make sure I caught all you guys on here because I have a tendency to accidentally scroll past some of you guys. Yeah, getting really excited to plant $2 corn. So, favorite crop to plant: corn, beans, doesn't matter. It's all fun. Wheat, well, probably not any more wheat, but which we talked about last night. If you were in the stream last night, cash corn. I did not look today, but I know it went down today some more. So, wouldn't be surprised it's floating down around that low to mid 290 range. Soybeans are fun. I just kind of use my logo for the intro for right now. I'm nothing. I really like Alex's intro from L&R Rush Farms. I mean, that's a really cool intro that he ended up making. But just for simplicity purposes, I like the intro that I do, and then the outro. I just do. I learned how to do that from Noah Pointer. I never talked to him about that, but I kind of learned that on how to do that, and yeah, that's a pretty cool idea that I ended up doing with the intro thing from Noah Pointer there from watching his videos. So I know he doesn't do any vlogging, but with his drone videos, it's kind of cool how he does his outro. So no, that's not how we got the John Deere sign. When A&M got bought out, that was all the signage and everything went to Abbott's, I believe, when they because they own that. So if you like the 8530 for tech and closer to the 46, I would think. Yeah, 7R would be kind of cool to have on the farm someday. There again, I mean, I'm more focused on 8,000 series right now, and eventually a 7 series would be kind of cool to run, but not right now for the 4650. The 4650 would be at least 300 horse, just to give us an option. If one tractor was tied up and one needing to be on the vertical till, we could run the vertical till on either tractor then, because we need at least 300 horse on the vertical till because it takes 8 to 10 horsepower per foot on that 30 foot. So yeah, 4430 is a really good tractor, but starts cold under 40 degrees. So definitely likes the ether under 40. Actually, Braden, we raise quite a bit of sweet corn. Nothing like over 5 acres, really, but I'm going to get into a bit more sweet corn a little bit here and there. Just every other or every year, just kind of increase my plantings just by one every single year, and maybe increase my overall size of my plantings every single year, just because I actually sell a fair amount of sweet corn, surprising. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to cut in on your guys' thing because I know you guys do a boatload, and that's really cool. And then the pumpkins thing, I know you guys do quite a bit, so that's really cool. I mean, I'm just out of selling out of Hannah and doing some stuff for neighbors and stuff like that. So yeah. Uh, feel about filming the opera. Oh, Dad didn't really care. I mean, he thought it was cool. With the drone videos and stuff, that's where I got started with, and he thought that was awesome. And then the vlogging, it just took me time to get used to um, uh, getting accustomed to and getting used to talking to the camera, and Dad just getting used to having the camera around. And yeah, I mean, he likes it. I mean, he really likes it now that I make money with it. So yeah, and a 9RX would be really, really cool to have, but yeah, definitely. If you're considering looking at a 4430, yeah, I'd recommend it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can plug the 4430 in, yeah, if you're within reach of an extension cord, but I mean, there's instances when you're not within reach of a extension cord, so you're gonna have those instances. So, yep, we give sweet corn out for free also from Pioneer. Yep. Personally, I do not see a benefit for our operation at this time having a 9R or 9RX at all. Like 9RX is not even in the question. It's not even there. Um, but a 9R, like a four-wheel drive, articulating, I really don't see the benefit of having one right now, just due to the tillage practices that we do. Um, but who knows? I mean, I honestly don't. I mean, I personally, as I continue the operation on, I mean, I don't plan on changing anything about how we do the no-till. I mean, the no-till is going to continue with me. So, I mean, I don't plan on um, de- deterring away from the no-till. So, I think an 8RX is a really, really cool idea. I mean, an 8RX would be awesome to have on the farm, um, 20, 25 years from now. So, yeah, that's cool. You guys have an 8630. That's really cool. That's how Dad was at first. Um, with me taking the time to film and talk about stuff, but now that he understands that you can actually make money doing this, he kind of treats it as like another job, kind of, where he understands it's like, he has to do this if he wants to make money doing it. So he appreciates it, and he's going to end up getting in on more videos and more involved in the videos. So it'll be pretty cool. 700 acres of pumpkins. Holy cow. That's crazy. What would you think of using an 8RX? I mean, I think it would be pretty cool. Put it that way. I mean, I would love to try one out and drive one. Put it that way. I mean, I checked one out at our dealer when they first literally got it. Literally the day after they unveiled it on RFD TV, our dealer got one, and I ran over there and checked it out and did a video on that, which it's on my channel if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, it's a really cool tractor. Yeah, I sell sweet corn that we raise. That's what I meant there, Matthew. Um, yeah, we don't plant the Pioneer sweet corn. We used to, but then we ended up getting some Roundup traded sweet corn from Siemens, and we buy that and raise it. It just makes it a lot easier on weed control then. So, nope, no Steigers. Yeah, Western Canada, you guys farm totally different up there. It's crazy how you guys farm up there. Yeah, I know a few neighbors that run Salfords before they plant corn. That's cool, Tony. I would, venture to say, like on tires, when you're just sitting on a fixed surface, on a hard surface, and you just turn the wheel and you're going to rub those tracks or drag those tracks across the ground like that, you're going to have some serious wear issues there, versus turning on or turning tires like that, or sliding tires like that, versus sliding tracks like that. So, yeah, I can definitely see what your point is coming from there. So 200 acres of squash. Holy cow. So 1,200 acres of corn and beans. Well, like I said earlier, we would really, if you guys are 100% Bex and specialty, we would definitely love to work with you guys and on some Pioneer on that. So that's funny, Diesel. Holy cow, 76-foot drill and a C850 air cart. Holy cow, that is a monster setup. That is really cool, Spencer. That is really cool. Well, looking at the time on the stream, it's about an hour 52. We're gonna run this stream to it's about going on an hour 53 actually. We're gonna run this stream to about 2 hours and call it a night then. So we're gonna kind of simmer down here and kind of just go out with some outgoing discussion here and kind of go out and end the stream here around 2 hours then. Personally, yeah, and an RX tractor over an RT, I totally agree with you 110% on that, Mark. The berming with the tracks on the 9400T sucks. I hate it. And with an articulated tracked machine, that would be huge. That would reduce berming tremendously. So some guys actually put on anhydrous also with that setup. Holy cow, that would be wow. That's a rig. That's a rig and a half there. Wow. Do I have a dirt bike? Nope. Do not have a dirt bike. We have quads. 300 and a 420, both Hondas. Exactly. RTs rip up the ground tremendously. Nice, Diesel. That's pretty cool. Sounds good. Are you just gonna send those to me on like Instagram or email them to me? Because either way, I mean, I'll still end up seeing them. But yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, how you guys farm up in Canada? It's crazy how you guys farm. Totally different than how we farm down here. Totally different. Your guys' fields are insane up there. Snapchat? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll see it on there then. I'll scroll back through the comments one last time, make sure I got all you guys covered on here. I saw earlier about the cattle market. To be honest, I don't really know how the cattle market is going in this area, except I know it's not doing too good. We did discuss that a little bit with one of our neighbors. Actually, does some beef, and I don't know. He basically all he told us was it's down and it's not doing too good, and I'm not going to elaborate on that too much, just because I don't know too much on the livestock side of things, so I don't really want to overstep my bounds or accidentally say something that I don't really know too much about. So, yeah, 1,200 acre feet. My goodness, that would be wow. That would be fun. Put it that way. That would be really really fun. Hey, thanks Diesel. Thanks for stopping by. So, what would you say the average farm size is up there, Spencer? Hardin Farms? Yep. Yep. We know Hardin's. Yeah, corn prices are interesting, put it that way, Ethan. Whereabouts are you located, Evan? Union Mills? Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Yep, we know Hardin's, we know Cox's, we know all of them up there in the Union Mills area. Well, we got roughly about 3 minutes here till about the 2 hour mark hits. So, any last minute discussion here before I go ahead and end the stream? And next stream, oh, Jeff is your uncle. Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay. Whereabouts are you located, Tony? 10,000 acres is average. Wow. Holy cow, 3 to 6,000 for smaller guys. I would say average size around here is about roughly 8 to 1,200. Roughly, I mean, there's some larger operations where it gets to about 3 to 6,000 acres. There's I would say about a handful of those guys in the area. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of GPS calibrations there, Call. I'm just gonna kind of slide away from that. Oh yeah, possibly. I mean, it just all depends on what's going on tomorrow. So just how the weather is tomorrow and what I got going on. I mean, I want to finish up those LED lights tomorrow. I want to work on getting the GPS monitors all primed and ready to go because I got to go through the guidance lines on those and make sure everything is all squared away. Oh, so Jerry's your uncle. Okay. Okay. What's your last name, Evan? Hey, thanks, Braden. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks to you. Also to you too, Jacob. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, so Crawfordsville. Oh, okay, Tony. Okay. Yep. Wow, 10,000 acres. That's. I mean, I know Alex from Rush Farms. They run 10,000 acres, and I just can't imagine running that many acres. That's average field size being 1,200. Oh, Alan. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I know who you are then. Yep. I don't even follow any of the hunting seasons, so because I don't even hunt. I've got a best friend that hunts, but I still don't even follow the hunting seasons. To be honest, I didn't even know it was turkey season. So, hey, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, so you're up in South Dakota? Okay. Yeah, that's why I would say 1,000, roughly around 1,000 is medium size in our area. Yeah. So same up in Minnesota then. Yeah. Personally, I'd only want to run no more than 35 to 4 personally. So no more, any more than that, then you're just getting on employee level where you need to hire people. I mean, you still need to hire people with that many acres at 4,000, but I'm not to the point where I need to hire like 7 guys. But there again, without tillage and just having the vertical till, that kind of frees up a lot of labor force there that we don't need, especially in the fall. Um, so, and in the spring. So, Well, we just hit the 2-hour mark, and oh, you had a combine fire last fall. Holy cow! I hope everything's okay with that. My goodness, we've had a few of those, and yeah, that's definitely not fun. But yeah, so we just hit the 2-hour mark. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let me know how often per week you want me to do these streams down in the comments down below. Did you hear about the field fire behind? Yeah, yep. I know exactly who caused that. Evan, probably don't post any names on who caused that because I really don't want that out. He probably doesn't need that to be publicly shown, but online. But I know who caused that. Yeah, that was. I actually was vertical tilling that day. Installed a big cloud of smoke. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Call me. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the streams. Keep them up. What I need to change. What do I need to add? Keep them how they are. Let me know. Give it a thumbs up. And let me know how often, what days, what times, how long. And I will catch you guys hopefully in the next video, probably Sunday. I'll end up putting out a video for you guys and play by ear on streams. We'll see what you guys think down in the comments, and I'll read all those over course of period of time here over the weekend and see how often I want to end up doing streams then. So thank you guys for watching one last time, and I will catch you guys in the next stream/video. Thanks.